after the Bregman deal, Red Sox fans and analysts too, talking about how this could be a playoff team. And I agreed with them, potentially still agree with them. And it's funny, we talked about it, I think the day before the Bregman signing, or I guess the couple of days before. I think it was late night one night that Bregman made the deal. But I said, you know what? If you don't get Bregman, like this looks like a kind of a waste of an offseason. And if you got Arenado instead of Bregman, it would be lackluster. It would be, okay, you brought some guys in, but not really the guys we wanted. Garrett Crochet, I think it's a good deal for sure. But when your ownership group is basically saying, hey, 3 guys out there who've all won, Cy Young Awards or won the World Series, Max Fried, Blake Snell won a couple, Corbin Burns won a Cy Young. We're going to get 2 of these 3 guys. And then all you walk away with is Garrett Crochet. That's not very impressive. But then Alex Bregman signs, and we start to look at the full body of work here. And that's Bregman, that's Crochet, that's Aroldis Chapman, that's Walker Buehler, that's getting some guys back from injury that you didn't have last year. And of course, it includes, who might make the big club coming out of spring training. Those aren't off-season moves, but like the injuries coming back, you're just another year closer to getting Christian Campbell, Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer in the Red Sox lineup. So all in all, it's a pretty optimistic offseason for the Red Sox. It certainly is. And I look at the lineup projections and the starting rotation projection, and I think, this is a good team. This is a good team. In fact, I'm probably higher on this team than some of these analytics websites are. RotoChamp, which has projections for all these players, has their starting rotation, their leading wins man at 12 wins, Garrett Crochet. And they list 6 guys here. 4 of them have an ERA over 4 in their projections. But I think I'm a little higher on this lineup than some people are. I think Bregman's going to have a better year than last year when he hit 260. The thing I love about Bregman, and I know he's on the wrong side of 30, and there needs to be some, buyer beware with what you've dealt with Trevor Story, kind of getting injuries out of nowhere. But the thing I really like about Bregman is some of his numbers have gone down, right? The batting average, the power numbers to some extent, the extra base numbers, absolutely. Those have gone down. Not crazy for, an infielder on the wrong side of 30. But what's great about him is the advanced numbers, kind of getting baseball wonky here. He's great in the strike zone. He's still in like the 97th, 98th percentile in chase rate and whiff rate. And that's something he thought he struggled in last year. He's still one of the most selective hitters in the league, and he still squares up on those pitches that are in the zone. His barrel rate's not terrific, therefore the power numbers aren't great, but Alex Bregman gets his power from being an extremely selective hitter. And that is so much easier to manage after age 30, no matter what position he's playing. It's so much easier to manage after 30 than it would be a non-selective hitter. That's what made Vlad Guerrero so great, was that he wasn't a very selective hitter, but he was still a damn good hitter. He was still really tough to get out. And he did that well into his 30s. He's an anomaly. Okay? Alex Bregman is more what you see of these guys who have longevity and are able to be pro hitters for a long time, because he's had a hell of an eye since he got into the league. Maybe since he arrived in Baton Rouge at LSU. But he's got one of the best eyes in the league still, and obviously his defensive performance really brings up his value. So I think Alex Bregman, a down year in 2024 by his own standards, and he's admitted that, I think he's going to have a better 2025. I don't think this is just the standard case of, 30 years old, has a down year, like this is what you can expect. I don't think so. And I think Fenway does play well to him. I think it's not that much different from Minute Maid. But I think this is a real chance for him to step up. They also got Trevor Story projected to hit 230. Give what you want in terms of credence to batting average. I think he's going to be, if he's in the lineup, I think he's better than a 230 hitter. I still do. I don't think he's going to be, a 320 hitter, but I think he's like a 275, 280 hitter. And they've got his OPS under 700. They've got Bregman's under 800. I think Bregman could have an 800 OPS. And his OPS plus is still really good. I mean, as a down a year he had last year, 118 OPS plus. 18 points better than the league average hitter. Which you looked around that Red Sox infield, most of the time they did not have league average hitters. Ceddanne Rafaela, Pablo Reyes, and Manuel Valdez, not league average hitters. So already that's a huge boost there to get a comfortably above average league hitter and Trevor Story added into that lineup. Here is the projected lineup, by the way, since I keep teasing it. Jarren Duran, Rafi Devers 2, Alex Bregman 3, Casas cleaning up, followed by DH Masataka Yoshida, because, by the way, they do have Bregman at second base. Story hitting 6th, playing shortstop. Wilyer Abreu hitting 7th. Connor Wong hitting 8th. And Ceddanne Rafaela hitting 9th. This is where I might get, I've already given you the stats. I've given you the nerdy stats. Now I might get old wonky baseball here. To me, the structure of that lineup is great. It's classic. I'd probably still like Devers in a cleanup spot, but I really don't mind him at 2. Jarren Duran, on base machine, and one of the fastest guys in the league, one of the stolen base artists in the league, hitting leadoff, no doubt. All right, don't overthink it, okay? But what I do like about Devers in the 2-hole is you've got 2 very selective hitters behind him in Bregman and Casas, and I think that's why Casas keeps the cleanup spot. So Devers, more of a free swinger, although, as we know, year by year, he's getting more selective. I talk about that kind of Ortiz model, and he's certainly following it. So 2 things happen when you have him second. Obviously, you have the protection of Bregman and Casas behind him. You're going to have to give him some pitches to hit, and he can take some more chances as a 2-hole hitter to hit more home runs than he would as a 3 or a 4 without much protection behind him. Yoshida, I'm just not a Yoshida guy. I'm really not. I don't like having someone with that little power hitting 5th. Maybe I am thinking old school in that way. But Abreu still probably doesn't have the plate discipline to hit 5th. But that Story Abreu at 6'7", if those guys are healthy and they're playing, that could be, a dangerous bottom third of the order. It takes a lot of pressure off Connor Wong. It takes a lot of pressure off Ceddanne Rafaela to just become more of a major league hitter rather than trying to be, a key part of this lineup. I love the way that lineup shakes out. And when you look at the pitching staff, again, I do like Crochet. And you run it down. They've got 6 guys here, which I think the Red Sox will probably roll 6 most of the year, mainly because 1 or 2 of these guys are going to get hurt. But Garrett Crochet, Tanner Houck, Walker Buehler, Lucas Giolito, Brian Bayo, Cutter Crawford. There are some definite pros and cons to this. The main con, like on paper, that's a good starting rotation. And you've seen good things out of all of those guys. The con is how do you trust any of these guys to hit 180 innings? The days of 200 innings are over, but 180 should be something that your top 2 starters should be shooting for. And I don't think they're going to get any guy to 180. In fact, the projections on RotoChamp don't have anyone going to 180. They've got Crochet at 154, Houck at 173, Buehler 143, Giolito 120, Bayo 163, and Cutter Crawford 141. We either have not, with any of these guys, we have either not seen them last a full season as the workhorse of a starting pitcher, or they're coming off injuries. Or in some cases, both. Brian Bayo, a little bit of both. And the biggest boomer bust for me is not even Garrett Crochet. It's Lucas Giolito. You look at a guy who, you were waiting to come back from injury, who, looked like you got a bargain bin deal for last year, has had some good seasons in the past, but it's been a while. He's not been a top 10 Cy Young guy or even an all-star caliber guy since 2021. A lot has happened since then. He's turned 30. He's had a major surgery. He's had an elbow surgery in that time. And, his best numbers are from 2021 and 2019. And you could say the same thing about Alex Bregman, but he's still well above league average. You look at Lucas Giolito in the years since then, when he's been healthy, he's been traded a couple of times. He's not really put it together. And he's a guy who was a pitch to contact guy in his 20s. I don't know how much I love that for a guy in his 30s. He already knows how to pitch, so maybe that's the benefit versus, Chris Sale kind of having to learn how to pitch rather than just blow guys away in his late 20s and early 30s after some injuries. But Giolito was a pitch to contact guy. His fastball wasn't terribly effective. He just got a lot of soft contact, didn't blow guys away, didn't get a ton of strikeouts, had some swing and miss stuff in his breaking pitches, but I don't love a guy coming off, basically 2 years off and was already a pitch to contact guy, and now he's 30, going to be 31 during the season. If he can be a middle of the rotation starter for you, a la, I don't know, the way Jake Peavy was in 2013, the way Nick Pivetta was the last couple of years. Let's be fair. When Pivetta was good, he was solid. Not really good, but solid. If Lucas Giolito can be that, if he can be Nick Pivetta for you, guy you just let walk, totally okay with that. If Giolito can be that for you, that's a win. Brian Bayo, can he be a top 3 guy? Doesn't look like it right now. It looks like Crochet and Houck are your guys. But if, and there is an if here, if you can get these guys back from injury the way, somewhat what they were the way before, Walker Buehler, I think, is a more safe bet to do that than someone like Lucas Giolito because of, the way he looked in the postseason last year. I mean, he's also going to be a guy turning 30 this year, to be fair. But if you get close to form from Walker Buehler, Tanner Houck, Garrett Crochet for any significant amount of time in this season, I think you are a playoff team. And don't just take it from me. Aaron Boone is worried about the Red Sox being a playoff team. He said, I'd rather them be around 500, to be honest with you. He's like, I like the moves they made. It certainly makes this division better. He said he can make a case for all 5 teams to win the division. I doubt that. I don't think Toronto is going to be making the playoffs. I doubt it. I don't think Tampa is good enough to make the playoffs, but they've shocked us all in the past. I think the Yankees are still the best team in the division, even without Juan Soto. But this really could come down to the Red Sox and the Yankees. If the Orioles play down the stretch the way they did last year, they're not going to have the benefit of the soft landing spot of the AL East. The Red Sox are going to be in that mix. So, yeah, maybe Aaron Boone should be worried. Maybe the Red Sox are coming. And maybe, like the last 2 times they made the postseason, they'll knock out the Yankees first things first. One can only hope. But I look at this lineup, I look at the moves they made. Do I sit there and say, yeah, that's a team that should go to the World Series? No. But I am thinking, if that team is not in this mix by Labor Day, that's a disappointment. You could argue it would be a disappointment if they don't make the postseason. But I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt here. I'm going to be soft Cam here in February. If you're not in the mix by Labor Day and in that playoff picture, to me, that's a failure. I'd love to know what you guys think. Please let me know in the comments down below. And you can find us here on YouTube live every weekday, high noon Eastern time, talking Boston sports and, some other stuff too. And then you can find us wherever you find your podcasts. So check it out.
We are Rogue Media Sports.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. And if you like this video, be sure to give us a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel a ton. You can follow me on Twitter here for some more outrageous Boston sports takes coming to you every weekday at noon Eastern time. And then after that, wherever you get your podcasts.
We are Rogue Media Sports.